So hello, this is Elijah Ignatieff of the New Paradigm Toolkit, and I'm with Kailee Popovich, and she has been referred to me by Laurie Renton, and we are going to do a values map. Is that what, flow map, and she said even a choice map. Is that true?
Yep.
So do you want to give me a bit of context as to how Laurie set this up?
Sure. So Laurie has been my mentor for the past 2-3 years now. I'm a competitive curler hoping for the Olympics, and so she's been doing a lot of mental work with me. And the other day she's doing that 4-module thing with you, Sylvia, and the other two. I can't remember their names at this moment. And so she asked me to come in, and she was like, Kailee, can I do this homework thing on you for the 5 spaces map? And I was like, sure, why not? And so she kind of like showed me about it, and then we started talking about maps, and I was like, hey, I kind of want to do one of these. And so she said, I will set you up.
Okay, so you would like to do the 5 spaces map?
No, sorry, I think I have them right here. The 2 inner self, outer self maps.
Okay.
She was just doing the 5 maps as homework thing. That's
right.
what I was doing.
Okay. So let me get let me do a little bit of investigation with you here. How do you use conceptual maps? Like, do you use them a lot? Do you like them?
Have you heard of the hedgehog map?
Hedgehog map? No.
It's one, I was doing some sorting for Laurie, and I have hers here somewhere. I really wish I would have organized this better. But basically, it's this circle with another circle, and then inside the circle is all the stuff you want in your life, and then outside of the circle is all the stuff you don't want in your life. So you're supposed to focus on the stuff in that inner circle.
Okay.
Is really the only map I've done. See if I can, oh, wait, nope.
So is that something like that? Is that?
Not quite here. It looks, so basically it's kind of like this. So all the stuff you want in your life you put in here, and then all the stuff you want not in your life you put out here, and then you just cross them off saying that this doesn't serve me.
Okay.
Is the map I've done with her.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 19.
19. Okay. In school, high school, did you have any conceptual maps? Like, did you?
Not that I can think of.
So the what you just did with the hedgehog map is kind of like one of the first things you did, and actually kind of
right.
Mapping and okay. Just to let you know, I've spent the last 25 years working with conceptual maps and designing something called the Inflow Matrix. And so what that is, it's a holistic values-based operating system. So it's a universal structure that if you memorize and have in your mind, you could use it to organize any job, any organization, and any community at those different levels. So what I learned, like in high school, I had no training in conceptual maps or thinking or mind map or anything like that, and even in university. So I got interested because I just saw a lot of the different spiritual traditions I was looking at. There was always one main map, like the First Nations have the medicine wheel. And so I just got into studying maps. And then I went a little berserk, and I sort of dived in for 10 hours a day, sometimes for a year or so. What it is it's a whole new almost science of the mind. And it's creating like a shared knowledge structure inside your mind that once you share it with like with Laurie Renton and the rest of her team, you have a mental shared reference point. It's like having the same blueprints to a house, and you all have the same blueprints. But like a lot of these conceptual maps, you may have a blueprint of one house, and Laurie Renton's got a blueprint of another house, and you're talking about things, but your living room's in the different place, and your kitchen's in a different place, and so the reference point is always off. But with mind maps, because it's not real, it's just this mental imagination of how things are done. We don't know. So what I'm aiming at doing is creating this universal business system structure that becomes a reference point for you for the rest of your life to understand business. And no matter what, you know, everyone needs a job, everyone needs a way to make a living, and at the heart of it is a business. But we're not really taught how to understand a business from a whole system point of view. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. And the main reference point is something called the time translator, or 9 cycles of time. And so what I want you to do is I want you to draw 9 circles like this. Draw 9 circles that are all inside each other.
Okay.
And then tell me when you're done. And then timelessness.
That one goes after minute?
Yeah, no, a minute, and then present moment, and then timelessness.
Okay.
So you've got the long-term cycles, your whole life, years, lunar, and day. And then on the inside, you have hours, minutes, present moment, and timelessness. And then the in-between point is the seasonal. And the reason the seasonal is in-between is like winter is very different from summer, right? Like seasons really change what the days and the months do. So we've got 9 time cycles, and in the very center point you have timelessness. Now that is kind of like, imagine these cycles like this, but in the middle now you can go up, and timelessness takes into account levels of consciousness. And this is another big thing around this model, because I don't think a model exists on the planet right now that brings together cycles of time and levels of consciousness. And we'll get into that later, but that's just the big distinction between the present moment, which is like us, we're in the present moment, but then you can have different states of consciousness in this present moment, and that's where we go sort of outside of time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so now get another piece of paper and draw an Enneagram. And do you know how to do that?
Is it 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8?
Yeah, and then you draw a triangle to connect the 3, the 6, and the 9. And then you do a line from 1 to 4, 4 to 2, 2 to 8, 8 to 5, 5 to 7, 7 to 1.
Does it look like this? Because maybe I'll just copy Laurie's. Is this what it looks like?
Yes, yeah, just copy that. Okay, so the Enneagram, as you probably know it through Laurie, has 9 different personality profiles. Did you do the test? Do you have an idea what yours is? What is it?
I'm a 6. My 7 is my wing, and then my third highest number is the 3.
Okay. So that's looking at you from a personality point of view. The Enneagram can also be used to map processes. It can be used to map information on it. So part of my research was John Bennett wrote a book called The Enneagram, and this might be a book you might want to get a hold of. John Bennett, do you want to write this down?
Sure.
John Bennett, called The Enneagram. And what he did is he looked at it from a point of view of a business process, and he had a manufacturing process on it. And when I saw that, it just seemed kind of uniquely different from anything I had seen. So I started to map information on the Enneagram. This is what we're about to do, is we're going to map those 9 time cycles, which are concentric circles. Now we're going to switch it and take them and put them on the Enneagram. Okay? So at the number one, write down lifetime cycle.
Sorry, what am I supposed to write?
Okay, at number one, write lifetime cycle.
Okay.
At number two, write yearly cycle. At number three, write lunar cycle.
Okay.
Number four, write daily cycle. Number five, write seasonal cycle. Number six, write hourly cycle. Number seven, write minute cycle.
Okay.
Number eight, write the present moment. And number nine, write timelessness.
Okay.
So now, if you put anything in the center of that circle, which is kind of like the 0 point, you can look at it from each one of those time cycles as a perspective. So let's say we were going to do that in regards to your curling. Okay. So how long does a curling game take?
Between 2.5 to 3 hours.
Okay. So 2 to 3 hours. So then you'd look at 6, right? At the 6 point of view, and you'd have 2 or 3 hours. And if you go to the 4 point of view at daily, within that day, you would be curling 2 to 3 hours, right?
Right.
Now, how many games, like how long does a season last?
Typically we run from September to March.
September to March. Okay, so almost 2 seasons there. So from the yearly perspective, you'd be looking at it from that perspective, right? The whole season. And then from the seasonal perspective, you'd have kind of 2 seasons, right? Now,
Right.
if you were looking at it from the lifetime perspective, that would be your career as a curler, right? So you're 19, and obviously you're going to go through a number of different years. Each year you're aiming at the Olympics, and maybe you're going to participate in 2 or 3 Olympics, and that's part of your career. So again, you're just looking at it from your lifetime perspective. Now, if you go to the minute perspective, and you're looking at your shot, and you're looking at sizing up your shot, and whatever are your mechanics for your perfect form and for whatever it is, that's happening in the minute. And then in the present moment, obviously, is the present moment, you know, what is your state? How are you, you know, what's your emotional state, your mental state, your vision, all that sort of thing, right? So you can look at, and then at the daily, you're probably practicing, right? You probably practice during the week. Do you? So you can see that each one of those perspectives from your curling reference point is a different part of the game. Right, you're using a different part of your mind. I mean, when you're in the present moment in a sport at the highest degree of flow state, you don't want to be thinking about any of this stuff, right? But if you're organizing your life and you're starting to see and put goals down and put values down, those goals and values are going to be taking place at these different perspectives, right? So what we want to do, and you've probably already done, but this may be a new methodology to do it, is to map out your progress to make it to the Olympics. So to do so, you are going to need certain values, right? That was the main thing in the 5 communication spaces, where we're taking values and we're programming these spaces. So what we're going to do is I want you to get another piece of paper, and I want you to rip it up into 10 parts.
4.
Do you have, is Laurie's value card set there by chance?
They're probably in her office. I could run and grab them.
Yeah, could you?
Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah, that's the one. Okay. So what you can do is there's 2 ways of doing this. Actually, 3 ways of doing this. You can write down your top 10 values. Write them down on the pieces of paper, the ones that you go, this is what I want, this is who I am, this is what I have to have in order to achieve. Okay, you want to write down your intention. Your goal could be, sounds like your goal is to make the Olympic team, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's your main reference point. You want to write that down. Which year?
I'm hoping 2026.
Okay, so write down primary goal to make the Olympic team for 2026.
Okay.
Now, have you ever done any values exercises with Laurie or anybody else? You have? Okay, so you got an understanding of what they are and how important they are. You could do it randomly or you could do it by choice. Probably Laurie showed you that there's a thing with divination that you can do with the cards, right? Which would you prefer to do?
Can I do a mix?
Yeah, you can do a mix. Okay, how about this? Go through the values card deck and choose 20 values that you go, okay, I'm going to need these to get to that Olympic spot.
Okay.
And then tell me when you're done. You might also want to think about having, like, there's difference between values that you already have that you know that you're good at, and then look at values which you're not good at, or things where, like, you may be lacking commitment, or maybe you're lacking strength, or maybe you're lacking forgiveness, or maybe you're lacking self-discipline, or maybe you're like, look at what you don't have and what you know you need, because this is going to take years. This is going to start a process that is going to take years, and it's not going to happen overnight. But what you're doing is you're telling the universe, this is my value system. This is my code of honor. These are the values that I want to be in my quest for achieving this goal.
I don't know. It's a huge day.
Yeah. Quick question. Have you had much values education in high school?
A little bit. I grew up in a Catholic family, and so I went to Catholic elementary school, and so we did lots of values with that. But then I went to a public high school, so we didn't do as much.
How much interest do you have in values in general?
My values are very important to me. Like, that's honestly how I make lots of big decisions. So, like, if I'm trying to pick, like, or if somebody wants to be my friend, I'll go through my list of values, and if they have similar values to me, then I'll be like, okay, yeah, like, this makes sense for me. Because if you don't have values in me, I don't see a point in, like, being your friend group.
Do you find that many people your age talk about values much, or?
No, I'm an old soul.
Do you want to sort of call them out to me to let me know what they're?
Okay, so I have loyalty, clarity, respect, happiness, generosity, inspiration, balance, resilience, faith, commitment, joy, goodness, kindness, focus, passion, acceptance, honesty, gratitude, excellence, accountability, authenticity, forgiveness, and trust.
I mean, all of them are amazing, eh? Like it's hard to choose any of them. Okay, so I want to try this out, maybe. Okay, so turn the cards over, shuffle them.
Okay.
And then choose 10 of them. Don't turn them over yet. Do you have 10?
9, 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, hold that intention in your mind of making the Olympic team in 2026, and turn over the first card of that set and tell me what it is.
The first one I have is honesty.
Honesty. Okay, now out of all the spots, in the middle of the time translator, also write note all times.
Sorry, where am I supposed to write that?
In the Enneagram picture drawing you have, where you have the 9 cycles,
Okay.
in the middle of it, write all times. So now on that map, I want you to place honesty on one of the time cycles or in the center. Don't tell me where yet.
Okay.
Okay, turn over the next card.
Inspiration.
Now place that. Just do for the next 9 cards, do the same thing. I want you to choose where you place it.
Can I switch them after I place them?
Yes.
I have my 10.
Okay, so do you want to tell me what you got?
Sure. For the lifetime cycle, I have kindness.
Okay, each one tell me why you placed it there.
For the lifetime cycle, kindness is something that's very important to me. And so I just for my lifetime, kindness is going to be something that's a part of me and something that I value. For the yearly cycle, I have acceptance. So originally I had balance here. That's why I asked if I could switch it, because every year, for New Year's Eve, I write down all of the good things that happened throughout the year and all of the negative things that happened throughout the year. And so as my part of like accepting that this is what happened throughout the year, I rip out all of the negative things and I throw them in my fire. That's my way of letting go and accepting that that's what happened. It's a new year, move on. So that's why I felt acceptance fit more better for yearly. For the lunar cycle, I had balance. I just every month with between university and curling and family and friends, every month is something different. Some months I'll be like super busy with curling. Other months I'll have like priorities I need to like come back to Yorkton and do. And so monthly, I just need to maintain a healthy life balance. For my daily cycle, I have honesty. Again, that's kind of something like kindness. Every day I expect if I'm telling the truth to you, you like better be honest with me, because that's kind of like why I chose trust, is I need you to be honest with me and I'll be honest with you. Seasonal, I have inspiration. Inspiration is more for my curling season. The reason I started working with Laurie is I have a lack of self-confidence and a self-belief that I'm actually going to get to the Olympics. And so for my curling season, I need inspiration that yes, this is going to happen. Yes, you're going to make it. Yes, all of these things are happening. Hourly cycle, I have respect. Kind of similar with honesty. Respect is something that's very high in my values. If I respect you, I will be the nicest person in the world to you. As soon as you lose that respect, it's not pretty for you. My minute cycle is authenticity. Authenticity is also something very important to me. I believe in being my best self, and to be my best self, I need to be authentic. In the moment, I have resilience. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure why I put resilience there. It kind of, so I'm gonna skip that one. For timelessness, I have excellence. And that kind of comes from the 3 in me. I want to be the best and have excellence in every possible thing that I put myself in. And so that's timeless for me. And then for all times, I have gratitude. That is something that I'm very thankful for everything that's happened. Sometimes I have to look back at where I was 4 years ago, how I was crying because like I wasn't competitively curling and I wanted to. And I look back to where I am now. I am competitively curling and I know like I'm looking at this next stuff, but if I look back to where I was 4 years ago, I've made a huge jump.
Okay. Okay, now I just have one suggestion from what you said and looking at what you had resilience, because resilience sometimes is over a longer period of time. I'm just wondering if you put confidence there in the present moment instead of resilience. Because if that's what's lacking, and one of the confidence is huge in sports, and it's good to have in the present moment, right? You want to be confident that you can do what you got to do. So, what about changing that?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
I'm very surprised trust didn't come up, or I didn't pick the trust card.
Do you feel it needs to go anywhere else? Like, are there cards from the second deck that you want to replace somewhere?
do I have left? Generosity.
Like, first, how do you feel about that value system as it is right now? Like with your intuition, is this going to take you to 2026? Is there anything that your coaches say to you, you need more of this or anything like that?
Really, the biggest thing that like people tell me I need is confidence. Actually, this is a good analogy somebody told me. On the outside, I look like this confident young lady who knows what she's doing, who's going after what she's doing. On the inside, I'm like a nervous wreck. And so she said I need to get my inner self to match my outer self.
Right, right.
Just, see, I don't know, because I feel like I picked these cards for a reason, and they like, or they were for a reason, but I'm just, I guess acceptance is kind of like forgiveness. So that one kind of matches. Accountability, I didn't really need. Like, I love the game. I wear my heart on my sleeve. So passion isn't really something I need. Generosity is kind of like kindness and gratitude. I'm super loyal. I'm a 6 personality, and those are the loyalists. So I don't really need that. I have focus. I have commitment. Oh, lots of people tell me I need to have, I don't know, I'm a very serious person out on the ice, and I'm told I need to smile more, apparently. So I don't know, maybe I need joy somewhere.
Joy, yeah. Do you want joy in your relationships or respect in your relationships?
Maybe instead of respect, I have joy. Because with joy, kind of has respect. If I like you and I have joy with you, I'll respect you.
Do you want to switch that?
Okay, so, and that's happiness. So these are the 3 I have left from the second deck: faith, clarity, and trust. And faith and trust go together. So I definitely need one of those on my, I just don't know where to put it. Maybe inspiration. Trust that stuff is gonna happen to me, for me.
What about, like, also you got honesty at 4.
I'm a pretty honest person.
Like, I don't think you need any more honesty. Do you need more trust in what you're doing? Okay, so why don't you put trust at 4 instead of honesty?
I have major trust issues. Major.
Okay. Now, I don't know if I need to warn you about something. And I'm not sure if Laurie has warned you about something, but these maps are a bit magical and they work. But in order to understand or to realize the value of something, a lot of times you have to go through the opposite, right? So if you put confidence in the present moment, you're going to bring more awareness to which situations you're not confident. Right? If you're in a relationship and you're not feeling joy and you value joy, you're going to know when you're not feeling joy more so. So sometimes, like, to go through the realization of the value, you have to learn it. You have to, do you understand what I'm saying? It's like what you're doing is you're being very, you're saying to the universe, you're saying to your God, you're saying to the world, you're saying to yourself, these are the values I want to realize in order to achieve this goal. And these are the values which are going to help me to achieve this goal. So it's like a code of honor, right? And the idea is it's not, I'm not trying to impose a worldview that can fit with your current worldview, but all these times they exist, right? very basic. You have a year, I have a year. I have a lifetime, you have a lifetime. So what I was looking for is universal words, universal structures that apply to all human beings. So this is a very fundamental way of creating a value system, right?
Great.
So I mean, any type of learning involves healing, usually, if you're doing some sort of work on the self. And so, as you say, you may not have confidence, and it may come from when you're a younger child and you had some experience in school or with your parents or anywhere. And these are the things that are going to come up for you to have awareness of and heal. Right? And so having someone like Laurie around, who's a very exceptional mentor, having this map as a reference point, you can use that and go, oh, this is what happened. This is what's occurring. I've done this map with people and they put it away for a year. They never look at it again. And then I say, how's that map? They go, oh, I haven't looked. They look at it. They go, oh, you know, I went through this experience to learn this. I went through this experience to learn this. And this thing keeps on coming up. But they forgot to use it as a reference point. So a map, these maps are like your major reference point for your learning in life. Just so you know. So this is, okay, so this is your, congratulations. This is your first, this would be called the choice map. And now, do we have time? I think we got time. We're going to, do you have the flow cards there? They're the yellow cards.
I can check in your office.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Okay, so the first word is field. The second word is resources.
Yep.
The third word is job.
Yep.
Fourth word is activities.
Yep.
Fifth word are gifts.
Yep.
Sixth word is relationships.
Yep.
Look right here. Seventh word is path.
Yep.
Eighth word is flow.
Yep.
Ninth word is direction.
Yep.
And the 10th word is conversation.
Oh.
So you've got these on pieces of paper. And what I want you to do is what I found with these conceptual maps is a lot of the choices around where you put the words are very arbitrary, meaning you could arrange any group of words in any pattern and come up with a bomb. And the words which, I'd like to get your opinion on those 10 words. Now, have you ever seen those 10 words grouped together before?
I don't think so.
So they're unique as a pattern. They're a pattern of 10 words, right? So these words are very important words in that they organize all other words. Like if you look at activities and think of all the different activities that you do in your day, there's a lot of different activities, right? You walk, you jog, you cook. You know, most humans are doing a bunch of activities, but the word activity is like a structure word. So if you look at path, there's a lot of different paths around. There's paths, mental paths, there's physical paths, paths all over the place. So there's a lot of types of paths, but the word path structures all that other information. So these 10 words are one of the primary reference points for you creating your thinking system in regards to your business. Now, because if you look at, you're in a field right now, right? You're in Laurie Renton's office. Is that true?
Yeah.
And so basically that's a field. And the word field, you can have a field of knowledge, or you can have a physical field, you can have an energetic field, but it's a bit of a strange word to organize things, but you could almost call anything a field. You and I have a field of energy right now. You are a field on your own. I'm a field. I'm in the field of Vancouver or the field of Yorkton. So there's nested fields that we're all in that have some sort of boundary. Inside that field are resources, right? There's all of these resources inside a field, and people use a job, have a job. All those people, let's say that Laurie's working with right now, they have their independent jobs in a field using resources to use their gifts to go down a path, to be in the flow, to head a certain direction, right? So these words kind of come together. Now, I have a place of those words on that map that you just saw. And so what we're doing is we're having 9 cycles of time, and these cycles of time exist, right? You know, your lifetime exists, these years exist. And we programmed those time cycles with values. That was the first thing we did, right? So it's a value-centered thinking system. You are bringing your values into your mind field, and you are programming, you are choosing those particular values in a particular configuration. Now, if you look at those 100 cards, and if you look at all the combinations of those values, and then place them on the time cycles, you're going to see that there's probably billions of ways to configure a value system. But you have this universal time structure, and then you have your custom designed value system. So to me, humans need choice in regards to what are their values. So this is a process of doing so, right? And now what we're doing is we're putting the next language layer on top of that to begin to program what I call the inflow matrix, information flowing in a matrix. We're basically creating a mental thinking structure, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to place one of those concepts on one of those time cycles, and I'll give you a few minutes to do so. And then I'm going to tell you how I did it. Because like I could give you the structure right now. I could say this goes there, like I did with the time cycles. But you wouldn't go through the process for thinking for yourself to go, okay, well, I would put it here for this reason, right? So why don't you do that right now? Can you hear your brain hurting?
Okay.
Don't tell me.
It started with a conversation, and then from there, I found the direction which I needed to go in. And then the field would have been curling. So then I went into the curling field and I said, hey, I'm available as a free agent if anybody needs somebody to play. From there, I have the resources. I have my coach, I have my psychologist, I have my nutritionist, I have the high performance directors. And then with these resources I have from the starting 4, I get a job in curling. From there, I have my activity. I'm curling every day. Like that's my number top there in my priorities. And then from this curling, I create these relationships that are so important in my life. And from there, I go on a path which flows. And then the gift is essentially the Olympics.
Okay, well that's very interesting. I see the logic. It's a this, then this, then this, then this kind of sequencing, which makes sense. Okay, I'm going to give you another one, okay? So maybe draw another circle.
Okay.
Okay, so the primary triad, right? Here you have the 3, 6, 9. And the primary triad in any business, and actually you can, maybe you should change direction. Maybe you should change direction to, like each one of these actually has 2 words, but there's an inner and an outer. We're just starting with the inner. Change direction to agreements. Just the word. So the primary triad in any business is you have jobs, which you make where you have relationships with people and you make agreements. So that's the primary route. Like if you look at any business, you see there's people in jobs and there's certain agreements or contracts they have to be there. And then they have relationships with all the other people that are involved, right? So if you put job at 3 at the lunar cycle, and you put relationships at 6 at the hourly cycle, and you put agreements at 9 at timelessness, Are you writing this down?
Yeah.
So that's the primary triad, right? That's the reference point. Now, at 5, if you put your gifts, so your gift, you want to create a job based upon your gifts. And if you look at the lunar cycle, there's 13 moons in a lunar cycle. And your job is looking at that 28-day cycle and going, okay, this is what I got to do. But you're creating or you're using your gifts over the period of a season. In the wintertime, you're going to use your gifts differently than in the summertime. And so you've got this primary triad of your job, your relationships, and your agreements, and you've got at 5, you got your gifts. Now, at 6, if you look at that, gifts and relationships. That's pretty much going to be the rest of your life. You using your gifts in relationships with other people. But relationships is at the hour, meaning we're spending an hour together, right?
Right.
This is a 1-hour session. So when you're doing something like, if as soon as this ends, you may go, okay, I'm going to spend an hour with Laurie. Then I'm going to go home and I'm going to spend an hour with myself. And then I'm going to spend an hour or 10 minutes with my mom. You can start to gauge and see that each hour you are kind of spending different time with someone. Now, if you look at minute, now we could put path there. So right now we're going down a path. We're going through a sort of a process, right?
Right.
That's a mental path. You can map out what we're doing in that period. So I'm with you for an hour and we're going down a path together. So minute to minute, you're walking, you're going, your humans are moving, right? We're moving down paths minute to minute with different people at different hours. I mean, you might be spending days and years like with your mom or so, but the changeability is we charge by the hour and we spend, like I may spend an hour here with this person, a couple hours there, come home, be alone, maybe 4 hours with my family, but I'm looking at my relationships in terms of hours, right? Because it's always moving and changing. And then within that relationship, I'm going down a different path. Now, in the present moment, I'm in the flow. So at 8 is flow. And if you go over to lifetime at 1, that's your field. That's your field of existence. And within that field in resources at 2 is resources. So if you look at your curling, over a period of a year, and you go, I'm going to need this much money, I'm going to need this coach, I'm going to need, this equipment, I'm going to need them. They're all resources, right? That if you look at job, like let's say at job, you're a curler, right? You're putting your thing as a professional curler. The field is your curling rink, and your resources is everything that you're using in that rink to curl. And then at 4, at daily is activities. And every day you're moving, like you're changing your activities during the day, right? You're getting up in the morning, you're doing your teeth, you're having a shower, you go down, you have your breakfast, and you'll notice that you're in a field doing activities, going down a path. It's that triad between the 1, 4, 7. You're in a field doing activities and going down a path. So you're in a lifetime field doing activities by the day, going minute to minute by the path. So what you can see is these words are now getting formulated by the time cycle you're on. And in the middle is conversations. Something going on outside?
Yeah, there's lots of traffic. Can't figure out why.
Okay, did you write conversations in the middle?
Did.
Okay. So you got your field at 1, resources 2, 3, job, 4, activities. You're in a field using resources, at a job, and doing things, right? In relationship to your gifts at the season, with people at relationships at 6, going down paths, being in the flow, and honoring agreements and conversations in the middle. So now take your map of values, and I don't know if you put them on the same map or not. Did you?
I did.
Okay, now you look at the map and put each one with each one.
So like where I have kindness, I'd put field.
Yeah. And then superimpose. And what we're doing now is we're layering conceptual maps. We're putting one map on top of each other. Because what you learn is you're learning 3 levels right now. You're learning the time cycles, the values, and your first concept. So you just figured out a map of 30 concepts all together, all on one map.
Oh, wow.
And if you look at the first map you showed me, one circle, things you want and everything you want. I mean, we're talking a little complexity, but we live in a very complex world. So do you want to go through the connections and tell me?
For the second one?
Yeah, like kindness at field, acceptance at resources, balance at job.
Is field just general?
Field is very general.
Well, I believe if in my field of curling, you need to be kind and you need to be a kind person, because if you're not kind, nobody's ever going to want to play with you and you're not going to get anywhere. Acceptance and resources. I'm going to come back to Alan.
Okay.
Balance and jobs. If I need to have a balance between curling and family and friends and school, because if I just focus all my time and attention on one thing, everything else is gonna go downhill, and then my life will be a little messy. Trust and activity. I need to trust that I will make it to the Olympics, and all of these activities that I'm doing that's focusing on my intention to go to the Olympics, it's working, it will happen. Inspiration and gifts. I will use inspiration to help me find my gifts, which in turn will help me find joy in relationships. Authenticity and paths. The paths that I go down need to be authentic to myself, because if it's not authentic, then there's no point for me doing something down that path. 8 is flow. I'm gonna come back to that one too.
Okay.
Timelessness or excellence is agreement. When I make an agreement to something and I commit to something, I'm expected to be excellent, and I expect myself to be excellent and on top of my game and to make it worth it for whatever agreement I'm a part of. Gratitude and conversation. I guess I maybe need to have, sorry, that's me. I'm gonna shut this off. This 5 years ago to where I am now. Sorry, that's my mom texting me. Just some coming up on my laptop. And okay, I'm stuck with 8 and 2.
Okay, so do you know anything about the flow state?
I don't think I do.
there's a book called, there's another book that you might want to get called Flow. And it's by Michael, I don't know, like a Polish name that has like 30 consonants and 2 vowels in it. Michael Siska Haila Hola Hola Hola. I don't know how to pronounce it. But he talked about the highest performance state, either in athletics or in work, and it was called the flow state. And basically you don't have a sense of time, you have some sort of goal you're heading at, and you have feedback. And you get into this flow and you're not thinking anymore, you're just doing whatever you're doing. I mean, he was studying people who were doing jobs like somebody who was hitting some hammer 800 times in an hour, and each time was perfect. And for most people who couldn't even do it 4 or 5 times, you know, this person would just get into their state, get into the flow, and then they would enter into the highest state of performance. So to me, I played basketball at the college level, and there are times when you're not thinking, you're just training the shots, you're running down the court, there's no thought, you're just in the flow. So in terms of confidence, I know one thing about confidence is in basketball, you want to be confident that you can score. You want to be confident that you can play defense. Like, it really affects you how confident you are in regards to how you're going to play. So for you to be in a high state of confidence in the flow, in the present moment, that is where you're going to be the most effective. Your mind is not thinking anymore. You're just in a state of pure, you're in a state of pure awareness, and you're not thinking like, oh, how can I do this, or what should I do to do it? So then if you're looking maybe at 2, acceptance at resources, I mean, you may or may not have all the resources you need right now, right? But you've got to do the best. I mean, accepting sort of, you may want to change a value there, or you may want to keep it and see. I mean, acceptance is sort of like you were using it in terms of your New Year's Eve, and sort of accepting what had occurred to you during that year. And I think that another thing about high attainments is you have to accept defeats, losses. You have to accept, you know, things that haven't gone so well, so that you don't hold on to it, you process it. It sounds like you have a very process each year. So does that make sense, or is that?
Yeah, that makes more sense.
I think, okay, so overall, how do you feel right now about this value system? You just did something pretty amazing in 1 hour.
I feel pretty good about it. It makes sense to me. For sure, like the ones where we did the value cards, those all make sense because those are my values and I place them. And then when you bring in the field and the acceptance and the activity and the gifts, those bring it to a new level.
Yeah, I mean, this is this is a pretty, like, if you really think about, imagine yourself 2026, you're at the Olympics, you are this person, those values are deep within you, and you are attaining your victories. So congratulations, this is the end of session 1, and I have much gratitude that you did this, took the chance, and a lot of gratitude to Laurie for connecting us.